will shit on a person like that very easy. But you have to understand, this is a deracinated, demoralized person. They don't have motivations. Like yesterday I got caught in the rain on this thing on the way back. I laughed it off. Why? Because it's just funny, right? To some people that'd be the end of their world. You know what I mean? Like they just can't handle any sort of stress of anything. I just kind of like have the devil's rejects kind of, I'm not sure, but that might be one of my clients, kind of philosophy. If you've never seen the movie, a very graphic movie. Good movie, but a very, very graphic one. It's a horror movie. But it's a Rob Zombie movie. But there's the one line in there, changed my whole life. And it's when he goes, I keep my standards low so I'm never disappointed. And I just sit back and laugh at the chaos of it all. That's why most things don't get me down. I get mad, I get upset. All that stuff, same as everybody else. You know, I get frustrated when almost everything I do goes awry on me. Sure. But it doesn't debilitate me, right? And that's what I was getting from this young lad, was how debilitated he was by just, you know, drinking energy drinks and smoking dope all the time. That's the big one. They drink energy drinks and then they smoke dope and then they start going catatonic. They start going, they don't sleep, they get high anxiety. And everybody I know that does weed has high anxiety. They do the weed, the anxiety goes away. But a couple hours later, anxiety starts coming back. Or maybe it's a day later, depending on how much they do. So what does that tell you? It tells you they're going through withdrawals. They don't have anxiety, they're going through withdrawals. They're addicted to it. Oh, it's non-addictive. It's addictive. If you're doing it chronically every day, addiction doesn't have to be always chemical. A lot of it is habit, right? But then, a friend of mine, I remember, him and his cousin started doing weed all the time. All the time. And after about 6 months, they never wanted to go anywhere. They never wanted to do anything. Zero motivation to do anything. Next thing you know, they're having nervous breakdowns. And it's not just one or two people, guys. It is almost every pothead I know is like this, right? Now, this is before video games, so it means these people still had to kind of function in the world, right? A bit. Like I've known people that have done cocaine and hard drugs and stuff like that, and that's worse. It is worse. But it's all bad. It's all bad is what I'm saying. So here's this kid. Okay, oh, just to finish up, yeah. The other two, they quit. They're now like, they're not like super athletes, but they got into cycling. And my buddy and I used to be into cycling in the 90s, like crazy, right? And they got into cycling again. And he's never been healthier. He's never been happier. He's a Frenchman, so you got it. You know, that's a big feat right there. I'm part French, so I can make fun of them. Tabernacle, yeah. Anyway, they're a special breed. They're a special breed. Frenchmen are a special breed. Very extreme. They're either very mellow or very extreme. That's the French way. But that's also what builds like phenomenal mindsets of for athletes and stuff like that too. You know. But anyway, long story short, this kid's going on about how it's been 2 weeks since he's done, or a week or so since he's done weed, and he feels a little bit better, you know? And he took his dad's old bike, a 3-speed something, God knows what it is. It had cool handlebars on it. That's why I clicked on the video. I was like, oh, I like some of those old rally, you know, commuter bikes. So those things, you know, with the big headlight on them, they look really cool, you know? And anyway, he was like, he gets out on the bike, he starts ranting about the yuppies and stuff like that. Why? Because he's a 20-something, right? It's like, oh, all these old guys and the, you know, what's with all the gear and, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, buying the $20,000 bikes and stuff like that. I'm gonna do a video series called Throw Away Your Power Meter. You know, not everything has to be a time trial. Like, I forgot how much I love cycling. You know, it's just I wish I could do it on a cycle that fit me a bit better, because I don't want to damage my body. And I wish I just didn't have to do it on, you know, work. But it is a cool way to travel to work, even though I'm in the rural areas. I got to be 10 times more careful. It's busier in the cities, yes, but you got so many more options in the cities for bike lanes and stuff like that. And I love it, hate it. And I'm one of those guys, law of tonnage. I don't care what the rules are, law of tonnage. It's Mad Max out here, you know what I mean? The heavier vehicle is always going to win. You would have to be traveling to do the same damage to a car, okay? You'd have to be traveling 150 miles per hour, T-bone the car to get the same energy as a car traveling at 25 kilometers an hour or 30 kilometers an hour, something like that. So think about that. You know, like, not superhuman speeds, you'd never be able to get there. But unless you're coming down a hill. I forget what the world record is. I think it's held by a Frenchman coming down the side of a mountain on a mountain bike in the aerosuit. I think he wiped out twice. It was really, really funny. He didn't die, so that's why I laughed, you know. So, morning. So anyway, as I was saying, it's like, so the guy's going on about, you know, people kitted out and, you know, with their $20,000 bikes, you know, just kind of sticking it to other people on pieces of junk like this. But this is my piece of junk, you know what I mean? And I have no illusions of what I own, right? But I'm also one of those people that I can also tell you, okay, I've never owned a $20,000, you know, road bike. I've never owned anything that expensive. But I've ridden some expensive ones, being allowed to try it. Friends that had more money than me, right? Hey, Reg, try out this Cannondale. Now, this 90s stuff, so this was like state of the art in the 90s. And yeah, you could feel the difference when the bike weighed 10 pounds lighter. You really noticed it. Like this thing, I think it's 48 pounds. 47, 48 pounds. It's pretty heavy. If it was half the weight, I'd be there by now, right? And I always go on about weight. My goal is to build an ultralight for just touring, not for competing, but just touring. And I want a 4.5 kg for all you cyclists out there that don't, you know, use miles per hour for your speed, but use kgs just because it sounds more advanced for your weight. But that's a 10-pound bike, basically. And, or lighter. But something rideable that's safe to ride. Can you do it all aluminum parts and a slightly downside frame and maybe some extended stuff just to fit you? Maybe, maybe not. But you can probably get it down to the 6.8 kilograms, which is about 14.99 pounds, which is the UCI weight, right? But that doesn't matter. Anyway, so I'm watching this kid on an old clunker bike on a road very similar to this, enjoying himself. And I'm like, and he's going on, well, I'm unemployed, I'm gonna give it a try. And it's like, brother, I've been there. When I was a young man, okay, I was full of testosterone, chasing all the girls, learning how to get rejected, and so I probably got the world record in being rejected by women. But I've also, you know, I also got good at it after a while too. But it was also the 90s. There was a certain venereal disease scare going around, so you had to be careful. But just like flirting with women, I'm still to this day still good at it. I'm like Foghorn Leghorn. When I walk into a room, I just start blabbing and be a social butterfly, right? But this kid, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, chin up, bud, because like, yeah, it sucks right now, but I can guarantee you, I know what it's like to jump on the bike in the morning with a stack of resumes, just looking for what am I going to do with the rest of my life kind of thing. And the problem is when we're so focused on ourselves, right? The biggest problem that you run into is, I think I smell a skunk. That's a big problem to run into. Biggest problem you run into is you're always in your head, right? You're never concerned about anything more than yourself. And it becomes narcissistically selfish, but it also becomes sociopathic, right? Where, why is the world always picking on me? The world picks on everybody in different ways. Look at me, you know, like vehicles. For whatever I did in a previous life, I am destined to have messed up vehicles for the rest of my natural life. Like every vehicle I have has some weird quirk or cork. Doors fly open while you're driving. You gotta disconnect the battery. Vehicle rolls in park. Like just stuff that completely, if you don't know how to take it and you take it too seriously, it would completely keep you angry and demoralized all the time. But if you had that good foundation, like I said, you know, before I, you know, I'm sure this video is like part 2 or part 3 right now, but you know, growing up with the kids, you knew how to socialize. You also learn that not everything, the world doesn't revolve around you, and not everything's going to go your way all the time. In fact, most of the time it's not going to go your way. But you don't have to let it get you down, because it just is what it is, right? But what I was impressed with was when I see people trying, and I have no idea how successful this kid's going to be, but I'm like, people are going to relate to this kid in a different way. You know, generation younger. And I know the generation now is, you know, like, it was hard back in the 90s during the recession back then, but it's almost impossible now, especially for a young man. Like, there's so much going against you, you know, just this idea of you're always the bad guy and nobody loves you and stuff like that. And I understand it can get people down, but this is why I always preach family, nation, future. Because when you have that, all that other stuff doesn't matter. So if this kid's living at home, whatever, you know, maybe spend a little bit of quality time with your parents, you know, other than just, hi mom, bye mom, I'm going out the door. Go do something with them. Do something for them. Go do something for them. And